Time is not a healer. You often hear this, like when you're going through a heartbreak and you're really like going through it, what's the first thing your friends say to you? You're crying in the tissues, you're feeling down, so sad. Your friends come to you and they say, don't worry, things will get better with time. You know, with a little bit of time, things will improve. Now, the reality is that that's a half truth. That's not necessarily the case. Time doesn't heal everybody. Think about the old lady down the road, Betsy, who's been miserable for 60 years over the divorce that she had with her husband. Where's time for her? I want to break it down to you like this. Think about it this way. I'm going to share a quote with you, one of my favorite ones. And remember when I first heard this, it just completely rocked my world. And it's this. One of the greatest errors in masculine thinking is to think that one day it will be done. Is to think that one day things will be fundamentally different. They won't. So what exactly does that mean? So what that quote is basically saying is that things don't magically get better by themselves. Your life won't magically improve by itself. Things get better with change. You've heard that quote that says that it's insanity to do the same things over and over and over again and expect a different result. Something has to change. Something has to give. And the healing is exactly the same. Now, when we think about healing, what exactly is healing? So all healing really is a change of perception. It's a change of the way that you're looking at something, not just at the level of the intellect, but also at the level of the emotions. Because sometimes you can be going through it, and in your head, you know, this person is terrible for me. I have made the right decision to end this relationship, but emotionally, you're like, oh, I'm not really all the way there. It's not transcended that intellectual assent. You have to get there emotionally. So what do we have to do? Because in essence, we've just discovered that you have to do something to move forward. So the first thing is this. You first of all have to come to the point where you accept your emotions and you allow yourself to begin processing them. And many of us avoid this step. We don't want to accept our emotions. I've been one of those guys. I don't like accepting my emotions. I'm a logical guy. I remember the first time I went through this specific heartbreak. This girl broke my heart. She told me she didn't want to see me anymore. So I remember it was a Thursday. I'll tell you why I know it's a Thursday. It ruined my weekend. So there I was on the treadmill, walking, crying. She's left me, heartbroken. The first step to get through it was I had to come to a point where I accepted my emotions. I had to accept the reality that I was in. And accepting does not necessarily mean liking. Accepting means seeing the truth of what is. And sometimes it's difficult to accept the full entirety of a thing. Sometimes you have to accept in stages. So you accept the small truth that you can see right now. Okay, I'm unhappy. I feel like I'm less than. I feel like I'm undeserving. Okay, you can accept that. Process that. Because healing is not linear. It comes in stages and waves. So of course you process what you can, and then you move. Because the thing about pain is that pain is very interesting. Pain doesn't leave until it's taught you something. So that pain that you're feeling, the heartbreak, that you feel in your heart, it won't leave until you've learned something valuable from that experience. So of course on this YouTube channel, I'll talk a whole bunch about journaling. We'll link all the videos in there. But it's important, and I think that I recommend that you begin journaling. So journaling about your feelings, exploring them. Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like I'm less than? What can I learn from this relationship? If I was to do it again, what would I have done differently? Process your emotions. That's a process. That's the first thing. The second thing now, which is also going to help you with your healing journey, is this. We want to start building a life that we enjoy. This is an extremely critical step. Because if you build a life that you enjoy, and you have loads of different sources of happiness, the heartbreak process doesn't hit as hard. So think about it this way. When we're talking about different sources of happiness, think about it like this. Let's say you yourself, you're like a building, right? And the different sources of happiness that you've got are like different pillars that hold up the building. So let's say relationship is one pillar of the things that bring you happiness. You've got gym, you've got your friends, you've got the thing that you like to do, your passions, your interests, all these pillars holding up the building. Let's say relationship falls apart, it breaks, one pillar falls down, the building doesn't collapse. But if it's the case that you've not done the work to build a life that you enjoy, you have multiple different sources of happiness that you've got going on, you've not done that, and relationship is the only thing that's going to make you happy, should the relationship fall apart, the building crumbles. So you want to start aiming to build a life that we enjoy. You want to have multiple different sources of happiness. You want to build this. So I want you guys to really sit down and think about this. What are the things that I'm interested in? So I'll give you guys an example of some of the pillars that I've got. So of course, gym is like my first love. I love performing arts. I help out at a youth group, so I teach a youth group. That brings me great fulfillment. I make these videos, these make me happy. You know, I've got family, that makes me happy. I've got personal development, all these books I like reading. I've got all these different sources of happiness, so that if I was to get into a relationship with somebody and it was to break apart, like my girl left me, it wouldn't hit as hard because I've got all these other things, all these other pillars that are going to continuously hold the building. So that's what you need to do. I'm not going to bombard you with a whole bunch of information. It's these two simple things. First thing is one, start processing your emotions, because they're not like, this pain that you're feeling isn't going to magically go away by itself. You have to accept the feelings that you feel and process them via journaling, I recommend. And two, you want to start building a life that you enjoy. Build those pillars in your building, multiple different sources of happiness. Run that for a considerable amount of time and you'll see how your life begins to transform. You feel different. You'll come back to this video and you comment and you'll be like, oh Josh, thank you for transforming my life.